Right, hi there. So I'm going to take you through how to survive as a consultant when you have to do a solo ward round and all those juniors have been taken away from you by COVID-19. So I'm going to assume nothing. I'm going to start with a completely blank login. I'll make it as quick as I can, but hopefully cover all the key points and give you some pointers to some other videos if you need a bit more detail. So this is the login page at the message center. I need to go and find my patient. I haven't set up any patient lists yet, so I need to go to the spanner here on patient list maintenance, choose the ward that I want, or wards. I'm going to go to the dummy ward, move it over with the blue arrow and press OK, and now the dummy ward is visible and all the patients on that ward. Corona demo, double click and open up the patient. So the first thing is that the record will default to clinician workflow, and on the admission tab I think it's probably easier to get used to using the manage tab, as there are fewer of these items down here. I would prefer to use manage. It's a bit simpler, there's fewer options. I'm going to drag this to the left so this becomes my default view and I don't have to keep mucking around every time. If you want to, if there's some of these you're not interested in, you can get rid of them by clicking up here and removing, unticking them, or if you don't want, for example, I'm not that fussed about clinician leading ward round because I'm going to be doing the documentation myself, so that will now get rid of it. And if I happen to want to bring some of these other things up, I can move them around. So there's potential for configuration if you want to, but that's not entirely necessary. So first of all, can I encourage you to get into the habit of completing, and indeed after this is all over, getting your juniors to complete the hospital course. This should be a quick summary of the patient's admission, which should be sort of updated on a regular basis. And the main benefit of this is that you know what's going on when you see the patient and when you see them again tomorrow. It's good for handover when someone else sees the patient tonight. And more importantly, it will populate directly into the discharge summary. So if this is kept going as you go along, the discharge summary comes basically free of charge. But I've not met this patient before, so I don't know what's going on, so I need to have a quick look at them. So I'm going to go to Documents, have a look at the admission clerking. So I see she's 63, she came in with a cough and breathlessness. Her husband had COVID. She was pyrexia when she came in, didn't look well, and she was tachypneic. She was having a chest x-ray, and that's pretty much all I know. I can get rid of that. Now, many of you will be used to going in here and reviewing all your blood results and vital signs and things through here, but much of it can be done in the same location from within this view, so you don't have to keep moving. So I can scroll down, look at my vital signs. It's worth noting that this is actually in a reverse chronological order and different from what you're probably used to seeing, which is a bit confusing. So this is admission yesterday, and I can see there's been a marked deterioration with a high temperature and increased respiratory rate and drop in SATs despite oxygen therapy at the moment. There's the fluid balance if I need it, and the labs, if this patient had any, would be available there. So I can see most of the stuff I need to know just by scrolling down here. I can update my hospital course. I'm going to put in the current diagnosis. If you just type that in here and press return, that will pop up for you. That's this visit, that's the diagnosis currently. I'm going to add in coronavirus infection if this is confirmed, but actually this will be done automatically once you have a positive swab result. I'm also going to add in her past medical history of asthma and diabetes mellitus. This is a very quick way of entering problems and diagnoses, which makes life much easier for you. Assessment today is increasing respiratory distress. and then my plan currently will be start antibiotics and fluid restrict, give analgesia. So I now need to prescribe those antibiotics. I go to new order entry here. So I'm going to prescribe Coamoxiclav. I want to give 1.2 grams every 8 hours. I'm going to click on that. Whenever you prescribe, we have to review the allergies, and there must be a weight. Now the weight should already be in the system from when the patient was admitted, but if it's not there, if you go to document, you need to review that there are no known allergies. Press OK. Enter an estimated weight of 85 kilograms, for example. If you don't do this, press tick. If you don't do this at the beginning, it's going to ask you every single time and drive you crazy. So here's my order for Augmentin. I want to give the first dose now. I want to give it for 5 days. And the indication is pneumonia. If you say no to give first dose now, as we've asked for this every 8 hours, 3 times a day, it will give it at 6, 8 and 10. If you say yes, it will ask for the first dose to be given now, and it will spread it out at 8-hour intervals. I'm going to sign that. I also want to give some paracetamol, PRN, 500 milligrams, 4 times a day, and we'll give some codeine phosphate, 30 milligrams 4 times a day for pain. So we come up here to the signature box. Again, it comes in and asks us if we want to give the first dose now, which in this situation is no. And for the codeine, no, sign. And if you come down here to the drug chart summary now, you'll be able to see that the first dose of Augmentin is ready to be given now. The next dose is 8 hours hence. And in green, the codeine and the paracetamol are available PRN. Of course, you can always give drugs if you don't want to order them from this pane here using the new order entry. It's exactly the same as the orders that you might be used to using down here. So I can still go in and order, for example, I'm going to give furosemide, 40 milligrams orally. I also want to do a full blood count. So for the furosemide, I want to give it 40 milligrams orally. I want to give it twice a day. Just going to drag this up so you can see better what the options are. I want to give it twice a day, but if I say first dose no, then it will give it 8 and 1800 rather than immediately. If I want to give it, make it a PRN drug, drop it down to the bottom, then I tick here, and I will need to give an indication for that, but in this case PRN is not appropriate because I want to give it twice a day every day. And if I wanted, for a case of an antibiotic, to define how long I give it for, I can say 5 days, and then that will time limit that prescription. So there's plenty of options in terms of your prescribing, in terms of what you want to do. That's for the furosemide. So it's very simple to prescribe, and I'll put a link up to some more complex prescribing, particularly for IV fluid prescribing, which is more challenging. This full count is organized in the same way that you should be used to. You just need to know whether it's urgent, routine, or going to be done by the phlebotomist tomorrow. If you want it to be on the phlebotomy list, if you go phlebotomy IP and then change it to tomorrow's date, probably 7 o'clock might be better to make sure it's there before the phlebotomists go round. So if I go to my drug chart now and refresh it, you can see that the furosemide doesn't have a red stat by it, doesn't need to be given until 8 o'clock tonight, whereas the Augmentin needs to be given now and at 19:45. And if you press this button up here, you can see what's due for tomorrow and up to 3 days ahead. These are the planned administration times of these drugs. So the furosemide is 8 and 8, and the Augmentin is at 8-hourly intervals from when I prescribed it. So if we go back to the workflow M page now and refresh it, this is our hospital course. These are the diagnoses and problems that we put in, problems being past medical history, chronic is past medical history, and this admission is the current diagnosis. We've put our assessment in, we've got our labs, our blood test results, we've got our current vital signs, fluid balance. You'll see now that the prescriptions that I've put in are now appearing in here, and now also all the prescriptions that I put in have appeared, all the orders I made have appeared in my plan and requested actions along with any free comments. And finally, I need to create my ward round note. So this will accumulate all this information into a document. I press on consultant ward round note, and you can see therefore it drags all that information in. If you want to add anything else at this stage you can, but it shouldn't be necessary. And I can sign and submit, and therefore I have created my document. If I refresh this now and I come back to tomorrow morning's ward round, I can see the summary that I put in yesterday. I can see any further updates. If I want to go back and look at the document that I produced yesterday, I can click on here, see what I said. I'll see what the night team said when they came to review the patient in the early hours of the morning, and repeat the process.